Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Not yet. Here.
Present.
John is not going to be here tonight. Nope. Okay. So currently we do not have quorum yet. So I just want to have you guys look at the minutes so we could adopt the minutes from last month. She's on her way. She's on Zoom for right now.
Wait, is Bob online?
Bob is on because he's gonna be sharing the screen.
Oh, that's right. Save the paper, save the truth.
Got it. If anyone sees anything that needs to be changed, let me know. If not, we can adopt the minutes. So I'll give everyone a minute or two.
You read that I was with you?
Put that's last
Here,
name.
arrive after initial call.
Beth's last name is spelled wrong.
Which one?
Beth's last name is spelled wrong for math curriculum adoption presentation.
Yes.
Name is wrong?
Her last name, we have to just update. I'll give you the spelling. Anybody see anything else? Other than that, we will make sure to correct that and then get the minutes up on the website. Look at Lewis front and center on the camera tonight. Anybody have anything? Okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Mike next
Sure.
for his presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you guys are all doing well. My report is relatively short today, but there are a couple of things that I do want to mention, some of them in the space of celebration of our students here in district that I think are important to shout out. And then a couple of just brief updates, and want to share with you a new goal that was created in terms of the Safer College program after touching base with DPAC, DLT, President's Council, and you guys last month. There was agreement that we should really be moving forward with creating a goal to really push the Safer College. So I'll share with you that goal in just a few moments, but a couple some updates and reminders, and then just a review of priority 4 and 5 for our district. I was hoping that we'd have all of our students tested by this time, but we still have about 3,000 kids or so to test. But right now we are trending more positive than last year in reading and mathematics. I'm hoping that trend continues over the next week or so, and then I'll be able to share more at future meeting dates. But just so that everyone knows, we do have our final sessions coming up. Actually, tomorrow we have our next Acadian session for our families, and kindergarten right now is performing as high as they ever have, which is really exciting. About 600 more kids that still have to test in kindergarten, but we are at a rate right now that if it continues, we'll be in a really, really good place for our 5-year-old moving into first grade. So, but at any rate, Acadian sessions coming up. I do encourage our families to participate. First session being tomorrow, and the next session will be on June 11th. It happens to be the same day as a number of things CEC wise. One being the final award ceremony. We'll also be doing an iReady session later on in June as well, just to make sure that those continue to be on your top of mind. We held a civics for all share fair on Thursday, May 22nd. Big shout out to Melinda from our team. This was really a great event, the second annual of this event, where we had students were given the opportunity to share their soapbox speeches across rooms. We did it in grade bands from K to 2, 3 to 5, and then 6 to 8. And I have to tell you, listening to the little ones talk about the things that they're passionate about, is really just quite a treat. So I'm hoping in future civics events that where everyone's able to come and join to hear our kids and the work that they were able to get accomplished, including participatory budget projects and take action projects were all shared during this event. Big shout out to not only Melinda, but all of our teachers that supported this work across our district community. We're fortunate that we have each of our schools engages in this, and that's not necessarily something that happens, across all districts just yet, but I'm pretty proud of that work that started several years ago, and even more proud now that we're able to continue to sustain it and build. So more to follow on this in the goal later on, which I'll share with you a few updates on that. Diagnostic testing window, I just mentioned this. We finish up, the last date will be on June 13th. So we're almost there, and we are, again, as I said, trending in a positive direction at this time. More to follow on that when all kids have been tested. Youth leadership team, this I shared with you during the last meeting, and I have to tell you, this was an amazing event. We brought over 100 children to Adelphi University. Again, this is through the direction of Ms. Willens, Ms. Stein, Ms. Chung from our team, all supporting about 10 of our kids from across our middle schools. And what they really wanted to organize, and their initial inclination was, we want to invite the Harlem Magic Masters to come, and we'll have a little bit of fun. They'll talk to us about leadership. And where this wound up going was a space of former collegiate athletes speaking with our kids about leadership, about kindness, and about how to make sure that we're doing that inside of our everyday lives. We also had a professional athlete speak to the kids, and then a series of activities through the lens of social work. So we had social workers there talking to kids about how do we communicate with one another when there is a difficult scenario. We had a dance teacher present and share kids all the different types of dance movements. We had a series of team building activities done on the Adelphi sports field. And each of these athletes spoke to the kids in a way where they would be able to connect. And the coolest part is, you wouldn't think that kids would get this excited, but our middle schoolers over to the collegiate athletes asking for their autographs. That's how connected they became with these athletes. And they were just giving it to them in a very frank, straight way around specific scenarios in their lives where one individual made a great deal of impact on them as collegiate athletes. One talking about how a knee injury really derailed her at a certain time in her athletic life, and it took people around her to really help get her on the right track again. To another person who wound up getting his start in a prep school where he said the only thing around him were woods, and it had a huge impact on his mental psyche, and how it was his coach that brought him into a space of understanding where it is that he needed to go next. And just the stories for our kids was really quite impactful, to a point where I challenged all of our students that were there to think about how they're bringing back those things into their own school. So many of them intend on bringing back to their field days or their next set of community days with their schools these team building activities. One example was a hula hoop, and the kids had to join hands and figure out how to contort their bodies to get that hula hoop all the way around their circle. Say again? Oh, you added in there, Louis? So this is the example of that hula hoop experience right here. You see the kids organizing themselves and working together. We had another experience where kids were blindfolded and they needed the direction of their peer in order to make it through an obstacle course. So it's really about team building and the reliance on other in order to support them. And I think the message was very well received by our students and certainly by us as adults. So this we're hoping becomes a springboard into what we then take this moving forward to next. So we were really, really excited about this, and it was such a job well done by everyone on the team. And big thanks to all of our chaperones and and volunteers from Adelphi. Aside from all of that, the cool experience to be able to go into a university. They heard from an admissions officer around what it takes to get into the school, the types of degrees that were available. It was just an all-on great opportunity for the children that were able to join. And we're going to continue to build on it moving forward because it was so well received. First in math competition, big shout out. Whoa,
Uh-oh,
I lost something.
whole screen went crazy.
What happened? First in math competition, we had two schools that went up to New York State, upstate New York, to participate in the first in math competition. And we have PS 209 and 499 were earned championship recognition. And because of that, they earned some money to go back to their schools to support instruction, which I think is a really cool thing. So a big shout out to both of those schools for their participation in this work. We also have congrats to 194. They had 3 students travel to Chicago for the MathCon competition. And they placed, one of them earned honorable mention, while the others also earned just recognition for their participation. But this was a national math tournament that our kids participated in, and super excited that one earned honorable mention inside of that. So really cool work for them. We also earned PS 24 and JHS 185, won the elementary and middle school battle of the boroughs for Minecraft. And what this basically is that the kids were given a challenge, and each of these schools has a team, and they were given a challenge to create a more sustainable New York City. So their challenge inside of this gaming program was to create an environment that promoted sustainable tools. So whether it was adding in a wind turbine to promote to build electricity, they created strategic places in New York City where those would exist. And based on the work that they had done, and this is the back-to-back year that PS 24, who you see, they were featured in an article where that was the image that came from the article, and you see the teacher on the right-hand side with the cheerleading in that space. But both of those schools did earn the one for the borough of Queens. They then went to go on to the Mayor's Cup through the Mayor's Cup Educational Finals was held at the city's inaugural New York City Video Game Festival that was convened in New York City. So they unfortunately did not win that round, but I was super proud of them for earning the Queensborough Championship for both elementary and middle school. So job well done for our schools and their coaches that brought them through that space. Also want to celebrate, we have Lillian from JHS 194, was one of 20 hand-selected performers for the Queensborough Arts Festival that was held at Queens College. I did ask for permission, and I do want to share with you just the rehearsal video of this young lady, because it was really, really fantastic. And I know that you guys have heard me mention that we do need to start creating space to hear the arts, to see the arts kind of be at the forefront as well, because we have our kids just do amazing things. So I'm going to briefly unshare and then reshare so you can hear my volume. Got to add that before, so we'll reshare so you can hear this young lady because it was really, really quite nice. This was the rehearsal going into the festival event later on that day. Nope, can't hear it. Louis, do I have to put my volume on my computer? Yeah, right.
Most days I don't recognize me, but these shoes and this apron, that place and its patrons have taken more than I gave them. It's not easy to know I'm not anything like I used to be. No, it's true, I was never attention sweet center, but I still remember that.
wanted to give you a quick little clip
Amazing
from Lily, and I thought she did an amazing job during the rehearsal, and know that she did fantastic at the festival that was held just last week. So when I received this from Miss Miller, I said I wanted to make sure that we were able to kind of showcase a little bit of that during this meeting, because our kids do fantastic things. And sometimes they are only shared at the school level and you guys don't get to hear it or see the real brilliance in some of our learners when they show it. You know, so as much as possible, I do want to make sure that we create time and space during these meetings to showcase some of our kids and the work that they do. Okay, DCEP, this is just the goal I wanted to make sure that I shared with you and highlight for you what it is that we kind of called out, that by June 2026, all schools will raise awareness of the Safer College program through informational events and parent chat to improve participation rate, resulting in a minimum of 10%. Oops,
Don't worry about that.
I can't see. I'll look brief for resulting in a minimum of 10% increase in activated accounts. As I said, we are below 40% in the low 30s that from the last time that I checked. We have two of our team members that are actually responsible for helping write the curriculum for the Safer College program. So our team members are well versed in helping support. But I do think that more information needs to be shared to take advantage of this as much as possible. Some families just might not want to participate in it, and that's totally fine. But I think they should be able to make that choice by having the information. So if they don't have the info, there's no way they can say that they do or don't want that account to be made for themselves. So we want to do a little bit more outreach to make sure that this whole notion of a pathway for college and career readiness is accessible to families, and just in the small form of a small account that can be created for each kid. The program is for children in kindergarten through third grade. I know that there's hopes of an expansion over time, but as kids age up, not adding on for kids that are in grade 6 or 7 now. But I think the goal is that as they age up, so third grade is moving into fourth grade and so on down the line, so that there is that additional funding for future kids. But this is the current goal. Would love any feedback on this as we move forward to see if there's anything else that we need to add. I also wanted to share just some of the space of the civics work and things that we're going to be working on in terms of making sure that there's access. The goal for us in terms of promoting the seal for civic readiness for all of our children by the time they leave 8th grade is that every student engage in a minimum of 10 civics-based lessons, that every student over their course of time in district writes and presents a soapbox speech, that every student engage in some kind of a take action project across grade bands. So whether from K to 2, 3 to 5, and 6 to 8, that they have an opportunity to do that, and that every student votes in participatory budgeting, which you guys know are already doing that. Our kids are already participating in that work. They are voting for things inside of their schools, whether it's recess equipment or an outdoor classroom or you name it, they're participating in that work already, which is really great. So for us, it's about how do we continue to grow it and build on it as a district community, which is something that I intend to do. Yeah.
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
So I know, for instance, the school where my daughter attends, they do soapbox speeches in 4th and 5th.
Mhm.
Are other schools doing it in earlier grades?
Yeah, so some of our kids, even down to kindergarten, they will bring down that experience for our learners. So
is it a goal to slowly get that?
the goal is to
Okay.
eventually get this across all of our schools, but it's not a you must across all of our grade levels
Okay.
yet. It's a aspirational thing for us that we start building it across all grades. Because I Melinda could attest to this. I saw her pop on just in a moment ago. Our 5 and 6 year olds had some amazing topics that they brought up. One around the types of foods that are available and how they believe they should have a choice in making those decisions. To which we're able to say, we're going to connect you with a dietitian in the building so that you can have a chat about the school lunch menu. So it's about making sure that kids have an opportunity to not only use that voice, but use it productively to make a positive change. But yeah, the goal is over time is that we're able to do this across grade bands in our buildings.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So this is something that was actually just shared today, just with our folks, just so that we're all having the same mindset. This is just what I just said in text. One of the ideas that I had for the civics work is something that I know that they're actually working towards adopting. And I said, it would be nice if that as a school, the kids identify one soapbox speech in their buildings that really called to all of them, and that they all work towards that end of making a full-on project as a school, so that it's something that becomes much more meaningful for our learners. It's not that I'm going to call on our local elected officials by calling them out inside of my speech. It's how do I make something happen from that, are two very, very different things. So that's the direction we want to be able to go, where it's not just about saying that we need X, Y, or Z, but we need it, and here's what we're going to do as learners to make some of that improve in our buildings. So really excited about this, and I think it's going to make for a more robust experience for our learners moving forward as a community. But we're in a really, really good place with the civics work. Still always more to do, but we're in a good place at this time in our schools. And lastly, this is just something that I had asked you guys to kind of ponder around this wellness kindness community, and what goals can we create to promote this idea across our buildings in addition to what we're already doing. So kind of going from that good to great, what area do we really want to kind of dig into more as a district community? And this doesn't necessarily have to fully be answered now, but will be an ongoing conversation as part of our collaboration together to make it more of a robust entry. And I know we talked about, even in the beginning of the school year, what are the community events that we do to start the school year, which I think if we come to an agreement on that as a CEC in collaboration with the district, it could be a set of recommendations we share. Here are the things we would love for you to do for your school as we enter into the start of a new school year. So I don't know if any of you gave this any thought or have any feedback on this, but if you do, I'd love to hear any of your thoughts.
Well done, you propose. Using these three words, wellness, kindness, and community. Just wellness, kindness, community are strong roots. Yes, can be
Like at the end,
Yeah, at the end.
to go along with your strong roots, strong schools.
Wellness, kindness, community, our strong roots.
Our strong roots?
Yes. To integrate our previous model. So, also as we have between years 21, like wellness committee in the SLT, so it can be a proposal to apply on other schools to think about what kind of specific activities can we do in the mark of our SLTs. So it can be like a strategy to work with our schools. Yes. So, for example, we have set two main goals for next year. First, on October, we are going to do a multicultural night and also an additional fitness night. It's like, but we also want to include in the parent university conversation with parents about wellness. It's like little by little, but yeah.
And I agree with you, Grace. I think the small little spaces of growth, it doesn't have to be everything at once, but small little wins that we want to add into our work as buildings or thought processes as buildings that continue to build on themselves over time. So that it doesn't seem to be, I always say too much, too little in return is usually what winds up happening. We want everything. And then by the time it's all said and done, we wind up having nothing. So I think organizing ourselves in a small way and then building over time is probably the best case scenario. And I think, just in and of itself, adding an agenda item to school leadership team conversations around wellness, around community can be an initial start of that work.
Actually,
Yeah.
just to chime in also, Dr. Mike knows my son's actually in a new school, for the last month of the school year, unfortunately. And something that I saw, like within the first week of him being at this school, was another way to engage families and parents coming in, but also focusing on the wellness. They actually do a yoga event monthly where parents could sign up to come in for yoga, and it's to bring the parents in and promote it also within the parents, not just the children. So just something that I saw that was kind of interesting that I could see us using here as a district also, whether it be yoga or something else, like other activity, but like just to get more people involved, not just the students, but also the families.
194 is also having a yoga night. I don't know if it's coming up or if it just passed, but they are also having another wellness event for the community. Very, very soon.
Yeah, and I think this is something that we can bring back, to the district leadership team. We have a meeting on Monday. That we can encourage that all, as part of this collaboration, that all SLTs add in an agenda item that's around this space of wellness, around this space of kindness, this space of community in their building. I do think that we should land on one of those three as the agenda item and not all of them. So maybe perhaps that's something else that we can add on in the future meeting. But I think that is a really nice way of connecting all of this work moving forward. Okay. The last thing, and I actually just, Catherine, as you're speaking, I can't believe I forgot about this, but I know that you were there and it just reminded me. We had our debate competition at
185.
at 185 last week. It feels like every day there's another big event that's going on in the district. But it was really a great experience. I went around to some of the classrooms, and there was a young lady from, I think she was from IS-25, that honestly, if I had to debate her, I would be in a lot of trouble. She was on point with every element of that talk that she had. I was intimidated just listening to her. That's how concise she was with her arguments. And that's what this really does for our kids, kind of preparing them for what's ahead of them. It's not easy to engage in public speaking at all. But to do that in a way where not only do you have a judge, but you have parents that you don't know coming in. You have people like myself just coming into rooms, and they don't skip a beat. They just keep on focus. They have their information, they're knowledgeable about it, and they're able to not only know their argument, but the counter argument so that they can dispute any claim that comes their way. It was just a really cool event. So big thanks again, Melinda getting lots of shout outs today, but Melinda helped a great deal in helping organize that with the American Debate League. And they do have intentions. They want to bring our kids to places like Harvard, so that they can engage in this work in a space. A university like Harvard to be is awe-inspiring for us as adults, let alone a child in 8th grade, in 7th grade, in 6th grade. So it is something we're going to continue to do. The goal is that we bolster and increase the volume of schools that participate. I wish I could say we had all 34. We don't have all 34 yet, but the goal is that we continue to increase that number over time, because I think the kids really enjoy it when they're doing it. We had one school that was there with only 3 participants, and they wound up placing for the first time in their school. So it's really cool experience. And just you chatting just reminded me that I didn't include it in there, and I think it was worth also noting. But that can, yeah,
because really those kids were so well prepared. There was so much research and hard work that went into them getting ready for these debates. Early mornings at school, late afternoons, and they put their hearts into it, and to be able to have a really productive discourse, whether you agree with the person across from you or not. You kids were in a space of mutual respect for everyone in that room, and it was it was so impressive. It was really an impressive space.
Yeah, and that was part of my initial kind of speech to them, is that, yes, you can be competitive, and yes, you can make your point, but you do that in a respectful approach. And I think sometimes when we even see a debate as adults, you wonder why it is that they go certain ways sometimes. And that's not what we want to see for our kids. We want them to have the knowledge. We want them to be able to be respectful with their peers, but also to be assertive enough to make your point. And that's what we were able to see. So looking forward to continuing to grow that. But it's something that I had forgotten to include in here, and it's really worth mentioning because it was really really well done. But that concludes my my presentation for tonight.
Bob, before you guys go, I just want to backtrack for 1 second. I meant to start the meeting with this, but I just wanted to go over some meeting norms going forward. I know it's our last month as a full council together, but it's something that I think is very important going into the next 2 years for the new council. And especially with a lot of the stuff we're trying to get done within this last month. So just to put it out there for everybody, for us, we want to be present, we want to be engaged, no side conversations like walking away during the meeting. We have to be present. Be respectful of time. We're going to stick to the agenda. And if you're speaking, if it's public speaking, we're going to be timing going forward the 2-minute speaking, kind of keep to that, but just not interrupting one another or anything like that. Give everyone a chance to speak. If it's the same topic or you feel the same way, you don't necessarily need to chime in and add that, but share your thoughts, but be respectful to each other, even if we disagree. Also, we want to always be solution oriented and help move the process forward, not just bring up concerns, but suggestions as well to help that. And just make it a safe space for everybody. And if we take a responsibility of something, we want to follow through on those assigned actions so we can be accountable and communicate and progress, so we don't run into any roadblocks. So I just wanted to have that. So when we do have public speaking, I will be keeping the timer. But I'm going to turn the floor over to Bob, who's going to share his screen for the resolution that Catherine, him, and Grace are bringing up about tonight.
Great. Thank you, Eden. So I was going to say, because this resolution is, there's a number of us supporting it. So I was thinking maybe, because everyone's just there, maybe if the 3 of us sit here, does that
Sure.
make sense? Grace, are you okay with that?
He wants to come over together.
Because then I can turn the camera on here, just like Dr. Mike has his camera on, and it'll capture the 3 of us.
There's someone inside of him.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right. Okay, yep. I'm just trying to see how we can.
Oh,
I'm just trying to
We're gonna squeeze in, guys.
All right, great.
Probably pin you guys.
All right, great. So,
There you go.
uh,
That's a little better.
okay,
Continue.
and now I'm going on this mic here. You just-
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. So I'm Bob Wazorek. This is Catherine St. Pierre and Grace Torres. So thank you for taking the time to hear our presentation. So we've put together some thoughts around 3Ks and pre-Ks. I'm going to share screens right now. Okay, so this is our community resolution number 2 relating to moving 3Ks and pre-K programs to community-based organizations. Okay, so this is about the 3K pre-Ks for all, where there's a program in place to have 3Ks and pre-Ks in community-based organizations. funded by the Department of Education. Okay, as I mentioned, the three of us are supporting this. In fairness, Catherine was her initial idea. I started putting together some thoughts. Grace was kind enough to contribute her thoughts as well. So this was really a group effort. And we went through many iterations to try to be as thoughtful as possible and inclusive as possible as we were putting this resolution together. Okay, so we were looking at the 3Ks and pre-Ks. We're looking at the number of classrooms that are throughout District 25. And so this table just summarizes those classrooms throughout the district. As best as we could tell, there were 947, almost 950 seats that were within the 3K pre-K system, and that's excluding PS 248, PS 409, and PS
It
499.
was 242, PS
Oh,
242.
242, I'm sorry. Thank you. And so that just gives you a basic lay of the land of sort of what current DOE schools, classrooms are being utilized for 3Ks and pre-Ks within the district. So just also to set some context, there's approximately 4,800 students in 3Ks and pre-Ks programs throughout the district. Of those, all inclusive, 1,300 are in the DOE sites right now. So as you can see, the bulk of the 3K and pre-K programs already existing within the district are already in what are called community-based organizations. We'll explain a little bit more about sort of what those are, give you some examples of those. But this is already happening, already been in place for a number of years at this point. And our resolution is just to encourage that to the extent classroom space is needed to either comply with the class size implementation of the class size law or create opportunities for specialized classroom spaces, that this is an opportunity to, in aggregate, increase the square footage and number of classrooms within the district without having the capital investment, by simply moving those 3Ks and pre-Ks from DOE buildings into community-based organizations. So in addition to opportunities to, or a mechanism to help comply with the class size law without foregoing other services, this helps either preserve or create opportunities for specialized classrooms, as we put here, art, science, music rooms, dance rooms, and also libraries. So to either retain or create these specialized rooms while complying with the class size laws. Okay, opportunities for all. So just to give you some sense of what a community-based organization is, these are some examples that are in and around the district. So they vary from being commercial entities to being religious organizations, but they are within our communities. And you can see some of them are highlighted. We've got a number in Whitestone, Woodhaven, Parsons, Hillside, Bayside, Flushing, Central Queens. So there's a number of these organizations throughout the district. A number of these organizations have multiple locations. Common Point comes to mind. Circle Academy comes to mind, with multiple locations for 3Ks and pre-Ks.
Academy also has two, by the way.
Kitty Academy has a couple of locations as
They
well.
do?
Yeah,
Okay.
At least.
Okay, awesome. Great, thank you. So quite simply, what would this resolution do? It would create opportunities for more educational square footage within the district. It'd be simpler to expand capacity through the CBOs as compared to expanding existing DOE buildings. course, we're happy for that, but this is something that can be implemented in a much shorter timescale. Okay, so there is a DOE plan to potentially cancel contracts with certain CBOs to the extent that they are not running at full capacity being defined as 95% full. That would have the opposite effect of reducing capacity within our district. And so this way, we're looking at opportunities to increase capacity and to ensure that those CBOs have the ability to continue to operate in an economically viable way and without having to incur additional construction costs to build within the DOE infrastructure. This also creates opportunities for wellness, and I know I'm not pausing this. Grace and Catherine, by all means, please feel free to jump in here. But in addition to just compliance with the law, there's really opportunity here to be consistent with the theme that we've been pushing on wellness and educating in a well-rounded way, that the complete well-being of the student is beyond just academics, but also involves things, whether that is the specialized music room, the science lab, quiet spaces, really opportunities to support the students.
Yeah, because just we asked the resolution that the use of these rooms depends of the need by each school community. Yes, so can be what we mentioned before about music, dance, so even being aligned with this wellness policy. So it depends of the need of each school. Yeah, just to highlight that.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Grace. Yeah, because
So, and to continue with that whole thread, these are spaces that will have to be used as traditional classrooms in order to comply with class size law. Principals are already restructuring the schools, and we will be losing art rooms, we will be losing library spaces, we will be losing dance rooms in order to meet the class size requirements. And while we think it is wonderful to get, for students to be learning with a room full of only 20 peers, it is at the loss of those rooms that mean so much to the entire school community, and it enriches all of their learning throughout the entire year. This is not to say they're not going to have art class. It's just not going to be in an art space. So
yeah, and
different.
And I think just to reiterate what Grace was saying is that each community, each building is going to decide what its priorities are. This resolution just creates the opportunity for space to be available, whether that's for compliance to the law or for utilizing that space in specialized ways. Okay, so the resolution itself is actually quite simple. The resolution is if a school needs additional classroom space to comply with the class size law, or needs space for specialized classrooms, for example, art, science, music, dance, or libraries, and it is currently operating a 3K and/or pre-K program. The resolution states that the 3K and pre-K programs should be moved to suitably nearby community-based organizations, CBOs, to free up the needed classroom space for for compliance with the law and opportunities for enrichment for the students. And that's it. As a matter of form, do we read the resolution? Do we get comments? Okay, do we get comments first?
You should read the resolution first, entirety, comment from the council, and then comment from the public.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to read, so forgive me for reading, but I'm going to read the resolution. Okay, so again, I'm the sponsor, and then Robert Wazorek. My co-sponsors are Catherine St. Pierre and Grace Torres. This is resolution number 2. Okay, whereas on June 2nd, 2022, the New York State Legislature passed a bill by a vote of 59-4 in the Senate and 147-2 in the Assembly that required New York City schools to implement a 5-year class size reduction plan beginning in the fall of 2022. On September 8th, 2022, Governor Kathy Hochul signed the bill into law based upon an agreement that the 5-year phase-in period should begin in the fall of 2023 instead. The bill is now known as Chapter 556 of the laws of 2022. Okay, whereas 3K and pre-K classes do not exceed 18 students in each class, whereas kindergarten to 3rd grade, no more than 20 students per class, whereas 4th to 8th grade, no more than 23 students per class, whereas high school, 9th through 12th grade, no more than 25 students per class, whereas certain New York City Department of Education buildings may be constrained in the availability of classrooms to comply with this reduced class size law. Whereas to the DOE, there are 495 schools that currently do not have enough space to lower their class size limits in the law, 30 of them being in District 25. Whereas 13 of these District 25 schools are elementary schools that currently do not have enough space to meet the class size caps, but do have pre-K and/or 3K classes. Whereas the New York City early education community-based organizations are independent, community-based organizations that partner with the New York City Public Schools to provide free, full-day, high-quality, early childhood education. CBOs are run by not-for-profits, community-based organizations, nursery schools, daycare centers, private pay programs, or faith-based organizations. As pre-K and 3K providers, CBOs are held to the same expectations as district schools, and CBO teachers receive the same professional development and support from the Division of Early Childhood as NYCPS teachers. Whereas to the 2 evaluation systems used by the DOE to evaluate pre-K quality in one of the systems, pre-Ks located in CBOs rate equally in quality to that of other and in the other, CBOs rate better than they are able to provide more appropriate space and furnishings for young children, personal care, routines, social interaction, and classroom activities. Whereas many school districts across the country now recognize that it is better for small children to have learning environments specifically designed for their needs and in investing in separate facilities because they recognize the advantages of having small scale settings that can provide a more personalized, intimate, and play-based environment. Whereas pre-K and 3K programs in CBOs are also better able to offer extended day and extended year programming, which is very valuable to working parents. Whereas there are community-based organizations that would like to offer a 3K or pre-K for all programs funded by the DOE. Whereas there are thousands of empty pre-K and 3K seats in CBOs citywide, and yet the DOE is threatening to close any CBO pre-K program that does not fill 95% of their seats. Whereas many CBOs are already struggling financially and find it difficult to cover costs of their staff because they are under enrolled. They are also reimbursed by the DOE per student rather than per class. If CBO programs are closed, this would likely lead to an even more overcrowding in elementary schools. Whereas for the 2023-24 school year, District 25 has 2,018 3K students and 2,651 pre-K students enrolled. Of these, 4,669 students, 3,375, or 72%, are currently in community-based organizations funded by the DOE. Whereas District 25 committed to wellness and holistic development of its students, and whereas relocating 3K and pre-K programs to community-based organizations would free up valuable classroom space in elementary schools throughout the district. Whereas this additional space could be repurposed to comply with the class size laws or preserve and expand essential enrichment programs. Preserve and expand essential enrichment programs such as art, music, dance, science, libraries, and calming corners that support students' social, emotional growth, creativity, and academic achievement as needed by each school community. Whereas based on the maximum 3K pre-K of 18 students, we estimate that an additional classrooms in District 25 could be a total of 57 classrooms without considering the previously mentioned PS 242, PS 409, and PS 499. Whereas moving pre-K and 3K classes out of overcrowded elementary schools into nearby under-enrolled CBOs was one of the many recommendations of the Chancellor's class size working group report to accelerate the facilitation of creating more space for classroom reduction, class size reduction. Whereas other New York City school districts could benefit from similar analysis and other CECs should consider similar resolutions. This is now the resolution. It therefore be resolved, New York City DOE schools in need of additional classroom space that have existing 3K and or pre-K programs housed within the school, move those programs into suitable nearby community-based organizations to free up classroom space to help comply with the class size rules. This will also preserve space in schools to help comply with the class size rules while maintaining specialized classrooms for art, science, music, dance, and libraries. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank
I will open the floor to anybody that has questions or comments in regards to the resolution. Also on Zoom, please raise your hand if you want to chime in at all, and we will call it.
Hello, Bob and the ladies, it's a tremendous effort you put in. I think it's a great idea. The only issue I have is they have to be on a different schedule and or the CBO will have to open longer because, in the school my children go to, there's a gentleman got mad at the teacher once because she left the kid out 2 minutes too late. She says, I have 2 other kids I have to pick up on the other side. So I asked the teacher if it's possible, the teacher sent the child to the other side. It was during the pandemic. So what ended up happening frequently is that he picks up this little one, goes to the front, and the other one's in the auditorium because he didn't arrive in time. So if the CBO can stay a little longer or they have more flexibility, that makes it possible for for a parent to travel from a school to that site to pick up the child.
Yeah, Joe, I think that's a great point. I think what I've seen, and please chime in, is that a lot of the CBOs do offer extended hour days. And I think even you have some experience with this as well. And then also extended years where they will potentially offer programs into the summer as well. So that is CBO by CBO, but that's fairly typical to see extended day programs within that structure.
I think that would be the major concern for most parents.
Yeah,
Because I was lucky because my little ones went to the same elementary school for pre-K, first grade, seventh grade. So the older one, I was able to pick up in the morning, drop them off, pick them up. If I have to go someplace else, I'm gonna have an issue.
understood. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I had the same concern. The pickup, so I don't want to say more, is say the concern that I had with the pickup with the kids. Again, I was lucky, my kids went to the same, but the resolution clearly states that nearby, so ideally, I don't think it would be a problem, but it is something as a concerning parent, the pickup times.
Yeah,
It's
great.
good.
Okay.
It answered all my questions.
Excellent.
Okay, 'cause I
Isn't
started
it? Thank
writing-
you.
No, I started writing, it's like, okay, and then I'm like, okay, go back, okay, I got the answer. Yeah, it's
So
good.
I do have one other thing to chime in. Bob and I were talking about this a little bit. And the extended day thing is definitely a huge advantage, that parents do take advantage of. I happen to be a parent that worked 12-hour shifts at the time. So for me, I would do the early drop off, late pickups, and my son did go to a CBO. But my daughter went to public school pre-K program. My biggest concern that I've seen is the turnover of staff in the CBOs. It's just something I was explaining to Bob, that my son went through 3 teachers in pre-K because of turnover. And I think that's where my only fear is like, what do we do to prevent that turnover from happening? Should that be the route that everyone goes across New York City, not even just like District 25?
So I also had kids in multiple buildings. My youngest was in a CBO while my other 2 were in the elementary school a few blocks away. And I can't say that I had that same experience of there being any staff turnover.
Right.
My teachers, it was the same teachers for my children from the beginning through to the end. And in fact, those teachers are still there. My first 2 born, they were also in, they were in different CBOs. They weren't in the same that my youngest went to, but those teachers are also still in their positions to this day also. So I'm sorry that you had that unfortunate experience with so much turnover in your location, but I don't, having had the personal experience of multiple CBO locations for myself, I can't say that that is the norm of what you experienced. And I will say also that I had excellent experience for all 3 of my kids in the other locations that they were housed in. And it was difficult to be in 2 places at once for pickup. And for drop off, but with clear communication to the schools and just letting them know either I needed to pick up my littlest one a little early, or sometimes we were maybe a little bit late in the morning, but as long as I was communicating that as a parent to the staff in charge, it never was an issue for me in my experience. But I think communication is really the key component to any relationship that you have in any school. So I just wanted to say that.
Does anybody have anything else they wanted to add? Is there anybody?
I don't
online?
wanna add per se, but I wanna, based on what you just said, right? Teachers turnover, I don't think has, like, for this particular resolution, it is a concern. I get what you're saying, but for this resolution, based on what, me and Joe said, is there a way that we can maybe add a line that says they should offer extended care? I'm not sure. I'm just saying, so that way it ensures that they do offer that, the CBOs. I'm assuming that most of them do, but what if there is an instance, I just thought about it right now, what if there is an instance that the CBO that my child happens to go to does not offer extended? And it's possible because there is no, and I'm not sure if we can add that. It's not necessary, both my kids are out of place, it is a good start. I don't want it to hold up this resolution, but I'm saying, is there room to put something along those lines? If there is, great. If there isn't, I think this is fine.
Well, okay,
I don't know if
my,
it makes sense.
I agree with your point wholeheartedly. My thought on that is that, you know, as a parent, and you're looking at CBOs, like we gave a number of examples, there's, you know, probably dozens in the District 25. So one is if one didn't offer it, well, you would go to a different one. And then two, I think that is really the competitive environment that they're in, that they kind of need to do it because it's not uncommon to have two working parents.
Yeah.
And that pick up and drop off is wrong. You know, Eden having a 12-hour day. I'm not saying it's a norm, but I mean, these are not unusual, unheard of things.
Yes.
And, you know, if you want to serve the community, well, then that's what the community is demanding is extended hours. So I think it's covered through.
Yeah.
There's not just one.
And the other thing is if we vote this, that it is a recommendation that we're providing, but it doesn't mean it's what's gonna happen. We set it
It's a
up.
start.
It's a starting process
We
and
gotta start
it's just
somewhere. So
our recommendation
I'm
if we
all for
vote
that.
to
Absolutely.
go forward with it.
Excellent.
But I want to make sure everyone has a chance to have their say, or if anyone on Zoom wanted to speak, let us know before we go to a vote for this.
There's something in the chat.
No, they didn't want to raise their hand.
Okay, perfect. So I think we can move to a vote. I'm gonna have Egypt do roll call vote so we can vote on the resolution.
Yes.
Can you just mention what the options are?
Oh, it's gonna be yes, no, or abstain.
It's not.
Yes. Joe.
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Alvin.
Yes.
Oh, she doesn't. Right?
I don't get to vote?
Oh, she does?
No, she does.
Okay,
I vote yes.
okay. Charlotte?
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
okay.
Great. Yay. All right. Well done. Well done. Yes, well done. All right.
Yes. Okay.
That was a good team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great team. Great
Yeah.
team
Great
effort.
teamwork, guys.
And
On
rallied in 24 hours.
Alright, so moving into the president's report. More so for the public than for the council, because I'm sure they all know this. Next week, well, tomorrow we have a special meeting. Which you can log on via Zoom, but we will be in person for our C4E presentation. And next week is our CEC awards ceremony on the 11th at 194. Those children and staff that are getting awards have been notified and have been invited, and we're looking forward to a great attendance there. It's always a really good event. Other than that, we're gonna move to public speaking. If anyone wanted to speak, there's nothing.
Nothing in the chat and no hand raised.
So if that's the case, we can get a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Who's gonna second it? I got Bob and Ismat. Okay. I will give you guys, since we're actually moving well on time, I'm gonna give it 5 minutes.
Don't jinx it.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Breathe for 5 minutes and we'll continue again in 5 minutes with business meeting.
Oh,
Into our. Sorry, okay, we are moving into our business meeting. I'm gonna call it to order at 8:16. And I'm going to have Egypt do the roll call for us.
Mine's the first name.
present. Okay, thank you, Ismat. Joe,
Then
Grace,
she'll be back from Valley, I guess.
Alvin,
Present.
Catherine, here. Darling,
Step
down
down
the hallway. Yeah. Eden,
here,
Bob,
Present.
John,
not here tonight. And Shirley Jenkins not here.
yes, sorry, I said her name.
Okay, so first thing on the business meeting is our award ceremony. Egypt and I have been on pretty regularly talking through this. Louis also. We have every school's nominations at this point. We are working on getting the awards ready. All the other gifts are ready. Invitations went out. We've got a bunch of RSVPs. That's what Louis was just sharing.
And 194 said that they're providing.
Yes,
water.
194 will provide like water and cookies for the
Yes,
students
snacks,
in the area while they're waiting. So that was taken care of by them, which is greatly appreciated. So we are starting at 7. But if everyone could get there at least 30 minutes before. I understand if like people are traveling to work, but if we could get there at least 30 minutes before just to get ready, make sure we're on the stage and situated before we start, that would be perfect. Anybody have any questions about the award ceremony?
When is,
Next Wednesday,
and
the 11th.
are we color coordinating?
No,
Just checking, so.
we can if you want, but no.
Yep. The only thing that I would say that might be, a good thing just to mention just before the onset is sometimes folks, after their child receives their recognition, they do tend to want to
Yes.
escape quickly. And I do think just, for all of the kids to be able to be recognized in a way there where it doesn't become a distraction for their child. It's not this
Yeah.
huge grandiose thing. You're just being able to announce the kid's name, get their photo taken with the awards with you guys. But it would be nice if, and listen, I get it, everyone's got a busy schedule, but just to front load that and hope as
Yeah,
many
no, I'm
folks
definitely
stay as
gonna-
possible.
I'm gonna announce it at the beginning for
yeah.
sure, so that we can make sure we're putting it out there. And hopefully people do respect that. We also, in addition to the regular awards that we also have the Big Apple finalists that we're gonna be recognizing that night. And also, I wanted to bring up, I guess she's not here, I can say it out loud. I wanted to hopefully make sure that Shirley Jang will be here for it, because I would like to create a award that we could give her just to say thank you for her time this past year before she goes off to college. So, just wanted to put that out
You
there.
already created it, like you got.
We're gonna put it together, Egypt and I. We don't have the names on like the medals anyway.
So there'll just be one.
Yeah, and we're gonna make a
Okay.
certificate for her, like thanking her, so I'll get with Egypt about that, but I feel like we should recognize her. She was here, I know she hasn't been able to be here last month or right now, but I'm gonna touch base with her to make sure she is at the award ceremony for us. The next thing on the agenda, I'm gonna skip for 1 second, just so we can do the quick treasurer report, because I know the other item will take a little bit longer, so I'm gonna move to Joe first.
Good
Give us a
evening,
nod.
ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of you.
And everybody else.
We have 0 amount left for equipment that we bought, teacher the computer. In the reimbursements, we still have $525. In meeting expenses, we have $5,081. Isn't that for the report?
No, that's.
Key card, we have $500 left. Never touched it. Supplies, we have $514 left. In repairs, we have nothing left. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. So we're going to move on to the discussion about the bylaws. I'm gonna turn it over to Alvin and Isma to kind of walk us through what changes they have there. And then we can have any discussion or questions asked and see where we're going from that point. So the floor is yours.
Extra copy, I do have extra copies.
They should be in your folder, though.
It's a big fat one.
Yes, the thicker packet.
Okay, thank you, Eden. The bylaws were reviewed by Ismat and myself. And after reviewing it, we have seen that it hasn't been really been updated for quite some time. Every one of you has updated copy here from us that we would like to present tonight. One of the main issues that was presented to us was that during these last 2 to 3 years, the state of New York, under the governor, has mentioned about the open meetings law. Requirement, governing, hybrid meetings. Also for
How do you tell?
CEC councils, like members, the presidents of them being in the meetings.
If somebody
So
raises
if every one of you has a copy right now, we'd just like you to have a quick, take a look at it.
Can you point out, like, just in case for anyone, can you just point out specific items by any chance?
Pages are all highlighted.
So it's where it's like the darker highlights,
Exactly,
okay,
yes.
Sorry, it has printed very funny.
it's okay.
No, but it's printed very funny. I don't know why.
Because they came out with their comments.
So
Yeah,
it-
I have-
yeah, it's all highlighted. There's an example, page number 4. Whatever is highlighted is what has been added.
Okay,
It was not there before.
so, like, just on page 4. What is the individual performance report? Like, maybe Maribel, maybe you wanna chime in on that, because it's not something that I've heard of come up before.
So the individualized performance report is also known as an IPR. You can see a copy of it in the back of the manual. I can pull it up if you like. It's where monthly, the members should fill out saying what they're doing. So I attended the calendar meeting, I attended the business meeting, I did the school visit, I went to this committee meeting, whatever that is. The AA will take all of the individual reports, just file it in one report, and that gets sent to the panel.
And I'm sorry, they get sent where?
We get sent to the panel for educational policy. Is there a form? There's a form. for
I
it?
was
Okay.
issued that form when I was voted in. I was given that in my welcome packet.
Right, it's not something I had ever seen or been made aware of fully, so that's why I'm like,
That was one of the reasons that it's being put on here because it is a requirement. And we just want to make sure that it's reflected in the bylaws as something that you as the president, whoever is the next president that's going to be, understands and knows that they have to enforce that from their members. You don't have to fill it out. The president doesn't have to fill it out for the members. Me individually, I have to do it. But it becomes somewhat the president's responsibility to make sure her council or his council members actually comply. That was the intent of that line.
okay,
A
perfect.
very simple form.
Yeah, it's just
literally one
I had
line
not
that
seen
says,
it
I
myself,
attended here,
so-
or I went to this
So-
school, or I called them and they didn't answer. That's it. It's
Okay.
It's a very
Perfect.
simple.
A lot of the council members that potentially will be elected in the upcoming election. They will have their own orientation and they do have a binder with all the requirements that governs like each individual committee education council. In there's a lot of bylaws that do reflect on individual CEC bylaws. So basically, it's copying from what the bylaws that were given to the elected members that were presented. And basically are put into individuals' CECs bylaws. So that, we all follow as one. Most of these bylaws, if you look at individual CECs, they're pretty much the same. But it's just that, we feel that in there might be a few items that, could be put out for resolution, could be discussed. And, other CECs that present their own resolutions, their own bylaws. Pretty much, we're following a template. Okay. So the next one that we're gonna.
Page 6, the meetings. This is the one of the main ones. This is extremely important. And as you see, I've made a comment there, specifically for the rest of the members, that this is where we have the opportunity to put in the extraordinary circumstances for a hybrid meeting. So you can see that all out. However, I think I did cover almost anything and everything under the sun for excused, non-excused, and that hybrid line, everything that starts from the council is authorized, that's taken directly from the current amendment law that we have. I haven't written that. The only thing we did was, the following shall be counted as excused absences. There is room to add, remove, edit,
So what we have, under section 2 of, member attendance at meetings, the highlighted items, that we have put out is the following shall be counted as excused absences. Members may request an absence for prior engagement made before becoming a council member. Members may request an absence due to a religious holiday. That one has been, in the past given that because of religious holidays that, it falls on the same day, maybe the CEC still had to have the meeting. Additionally, members may request an absence if the request is submitted at least 30 days in advance. Such absences are limited to no more than 2 in a calendar year, given that each council member holds a 2-year term, that would be 4 total. Death of a relative or attendance at a relative's funeral, serious illness or injury of the member or family member, mandatory court attendance, including but not limited to jury duty, military duty, etc. A prior family commitment involving a child or spouse, a job-related conflict, pandemic, and religious observance. So unexcused absences, the traffic. Excused not explicitly listed shall be notified to the council in writing at least 48 hours before the meeting and put on the meeting agenda on the council to take a vote on.
So I just have one question. I think, Joe, you had something also, right?
Yeah,
I'll let you go first and then I'll
all
let
right,
mine.
so item number 3. I could just ask for a day off. So don't have to give you a reason,
Technically, yes.
but then how is that gonna be 30 days prior? Like,
Well,
if I were
that's why we wanted 30
want
days
to
prior.
leave
You
you-
can't ask for a day off next week. If you wanted 30 days prior, you would put it in and
if
it
we
still
have,
ends up
okay,
going on a
so
vote, right? It's
so
still-
okay, so the only meetings I missed is in July, August, because I'm not around.
right,
And then 1 year I was in Death Valley, I tried to join, there's no internet access, so I couldn't. Right? Right,
well, because you're planning on vacations.
right,
Because a lot of parents, before they get voted in, or before they enter a CEC, they were never told how a CEC operates.
Correct.
So they coming in, they think, oh, we don't have summer meetings because school is out.
Yeah,
So the first 2 meetings that are actually required, July and August, a lot of parents say, oh, let's go on vacation. No, so that's
So-
why a lot of.
so you're saying if I continue to serve, I'm
Right.
going to go on vacation July, August, if I let you know now, I can just like freely. I
Yes,
don't
You
have to-
should, have a written
Yes.
letter and notify the council.
and
saying,
another thing,
20
Joe,
days, 10
that's
days.
why we have the
I-
hybrid.
I think you may wanna like tweak the date, because 30 days is like a long time from now. Like the next meeting is gonna be July, whatever,
With the new
Right.
council.
right, but the new council, I'm saying if I were to serve on that, I wanna,
Well, this would be on your second year. If you decide, like, you got voted in, but then on your second year of your term, you decide, oh, I just don't have the time to come in for the meeting. So I would like to request to be excused from attending that council's meeting.
Or, Alvin, we could simply just remove number 3.
That's kind of where I'm leaning is
Yeah, I
that
would
it
like
probably
to
should not
remove-
be there.
We're not
could.
gonna win, yeah. we could just
Why do you
remove
want
number
people to
three.
know they can just take a day off, even if you know 30 days
That's
ahead?
fine, we don't need to discuss it more. We
I'm
could
not
remove
serving
number
anymore,
three.
but still,
No, I'm saying we could remove it because the other 80% of the excuses are already there.
Yeah.
And excuse not explicitly listed
Kind of.
is also there.
Capture that.
So it also covers that if he wants to go on vacation or has no internet, and he's like, okay,
That
it
becomes.
gets something that can be voted on.
And I
because
think that
it's
was
not
the concern
explicit.
last month, but people were a little
Yeah.
unsure with the
so
30 days. I think we will take that
Let's
out.
remove it. And I also think number 2 and number 10 is repeat,
Yes.
Yes.
right? But
Maribel, did you have something?
No, just thinking about number 3. If council members have 3 unexcused absences in a term, then they could be voted off of the council, from the council, right? So I don't know if number 3 is necessarily needed because of the things you're saying, like the other reasons. And if, you're not here one time, that's okay, unless you accumulate those 3 absences. But adding something like this in could lead a member to being absent almost 5 or 6 times.
we remove number 2 and number 3.
Yeah, because we already have religious observance, which is
Yes.
number 10.
Yes.
Okay, and then the question I had is just based on the wording, so like a job related conflict.
I copied that from the previous.
Yeah, so
CEC.
I think,
That's exactly what all the CECs have.
no, that's not my, so what I'm trying to picture in my mind is, let's say, for instance, somebody tells me 4 hours before the meeting. Okay, I cannot be there, I have a job related thing. Is that something that we would
No.
fall under the excused, or would it now fall into the
No, look at the
unexcused?
first line, the actual bylaws state you have to provide at least 72 hours notice. So all of this,
But that is not there too, because it's a job emergency. There's a job emergency.
But we did have something previously where it was 6 hours
Yeah.
notice. I know in ours,
wouldn't that fall under excuse
No.
not explicitly listed? We could just vote on it?
How about we voted on that part then? Can we put something that we could vote in if somebody notifies? Within
think-
6 hours?
the part she's saying makes sense.
Because.
Because
sorry
we
to
could put, so we
interrupt.
could put it on there to take a vote, like when it comes up, but I still think there has to be a window that we definitely put in there of time. But, because you can't, let's say somebody says an hour before, well, guess what, I got stuff at work, I'm not coming. After we're counting on them towards quorum, that's where my concern comes in.
But we never had that.
But
Yeah, I
it's like
think
hypothetically, so we don't run into that kind of thing.
I think if we open that up, we are always gonna have work stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
If
trying
we
to make
open
sure.
that 6-hour window up, we are always going to have last minute work stuff. With the exception of number 1. Number 1, unexcused absences and the excuse not explicitly listed. Everything else is already present in the current Bible. I think the 72-hour notice is enough time, and because we have the hybrid in, you're able to be present by logging on to a Zoom call. That is my take. And let's say, for instance, you do end up having an actual work-related conflict and you're not able to make it, and you inform us 2 hours before. You still have what you can vote on it, and the council members can vote to say it is an excused absence for that particular. It basically covers.
Yeah.
Without keeping it open.
Is 72 hours something that comes from base end, or is it something like where we could say 48 hours?
In regards to which part.
Giving notice.
That could be a council decision. And thinking about specific circumstances, like you don't know if you're gonna be sick sometimes, 72 hours in advance, right?
Yeah.
Which is why absences always needed to be voted on.
Yeah.
Even though it's in the bylaws, we still want to vote on it because there's always kind of nuances. Different absences.
As long as we have quorum in person. To answer your question.
Board, right?
As long as quorum's in person, the
We will
person then
vote
on Zoom would be
on it.
able to.
Eden and
Really?
Yeah.
everybody else, look at page number 8. I've also covered it there. If the council deems it appropriate, other absences may be excused by vote.
Okay,
So it basically covers from every single part that we can possibly think of without letting a council member take advantage or use it to their advantage and use it as an excuse. That way, if you have 7 of us that agree that, yeah, Ismat should get an excuse as absence because she's fasting, I agree. But if 7 of you think, no, we don't think so, then it's not contingent upon just the president or the VP or one person.
So,
It's impartial. I mean, that's at least what I'm thinking.
so you're supposed to notify the council. Does it need to specify how you're supposed to notify the council?
I
Are you
believe-
supposed to, like,
I
it
believe-
has to be an email?
I
to-
believe in writing. Notify the council in
So like a
writing.
text message?
Yes.
It's fine?
Anything
like-
that we could change the.
Okay, so it's
Yeah,
in writing.
I think
think-
somewhere in there, it's there. I don't know where I put
Okay.
it, but I think it's there. But if it's not,
I saw that it said in writing, but I was just wondering.
we
if
can
there was
come
like
back
a-
and reword that. I know what you're saying, to be specific as to
Right.
what's the medium of communication to
Right.
inform of the
Because like
absence.
more
So
of a
there's
paper
no,
trail through email.
Yes.
There's not exactly a paper trail.
Yes.
Text message.
Okay,
Same
question.
way.
So I understand this bylaws that we're going through, how come we cannot touch on the special meetings or any type of meeting, since everything has to be in person for a special meeting, right? If, let's say, during council meeting, if we voted for anything that we need to discuss in a special meeting, can it be done in a hybrid? Like, as in a virtual, we could vote it, so for example, we have to vote it for something, so we
The-
couldn't
the
do it on
hybrid-
calendar.
all meetings. The hybrid clause is for all meetings.
stand by.
But voting is no, voting has to be in person.
Right.
Not hybrid, but I understand, is there any way that we could?
No, for that to change, we have to go through the whole resolution first.
Then that means that
That would be
all,
another step.
all the
That's a-
councils have to
that's a
put out a
different- yeah,
resolution. That's a totally.
We have a
different-
proposal already, hopefully if I got voted in for next year, and even if I'm not, I'm still gonna pursue it. But that's a different ballgame altogether. So because we only have 1 week, we did our best to make sure it is as less complicated with less amount of issues as we possibly can, so that we can move this and sign this on.
And hopefully the next council can take a look at it.
But yes, I want to say that.
So the most part that you guys added, it will be the section 1.
Section 1,
And a little bit of section 2.
yes.
Then we go,
So-
10 has some, a bunch of updates.
I also
Article-
want to, when you look at the agendas, right, page number 10.
That's the page I'm on now, yeah.
Whatever I have crossed out, was after discussing it with Maryville. I had the wrong items. The wrong items were in the, like, the business meeting is a different, agenda, like the,
Mhm.
so I put that there. So I also have that each item on the agenda shall have a time limit, which is page 11. So that people like me don't sit there and talk for like 2 hours. Because I can. Or, you know. And the other part that was important to us was parent association. And I say this from personal experience because I'm very disappointed that I didn't get assigned a school. So I would like to make sure that when the new council starts, if I'm part of it, great. If I'm not, that it's somewhere in the bylaws, that it is something. And this would also be in line with, I think, what we're trying to do with having meetings in different schools, like that's what we had said. So this sort of jives in, but also makes sure that council
What you're
are assigned.
Pointing out there, just so you know, that is something we tried to do at the beginning of the year. I know, because you guys came in late, it's a little different, but usually between the second and third meeting is where we make sure we get people put like their ideas of what school they want and we finalize the list.
Yeah.
So we can get that out there.
Want to touch on this point more, so we can have a discussion. In the reason we've put a minimum of 6 school visits required in a calendar year a good faith effort can be provided in case of scheduled commitment conflicts between parties. So what that means is this also helps the council members fill out the performance report. If it's in the bylaws, schools are assigned. I'm trying to go to the school and I'm unable to do that. It doesn't really mean that I didn't try, but at least I'm making me as a council member accountable to make that effort, because we're council members, we play an important role. And if I joined in too late, unfortunately, but I wish I was able to do more. So I just want to make sure that whoever is the new committee knows that it is their responsibility. They do play an important role between schools and parent association.
For the school visit, I have a word to say because, I totally agree. That's why we are here.
Yes.
Right? During our busy schedule. So what happened is normally, in order for us to make a school visit, normally, assistant, right? Administrator has to contact the school and principal has to give us the date when we can come.
Yes.
Like, okay, sign.
Correct.
If we don't get it, can just suddenly show up.
Absolutely.
They have to be expected.
Yes.
So in that progress, we had some difficulty.
Yeah, this year we had a little bit of
No, I
issues
agree.
specifically with it.
So when we put
Pretty
it,
good with the school visit.
Last
No,
year was
when
fun.
we-
Yeah, it was really good.
when we
did
put
our,
this here,
you know.
when I put this here, right, it was taking that into account, which is why I say a good faith
Good faith.
effort.
Yeah.
So you've sent an email to the administrator and she sent one, there's a trail. And when you're submitting your monthly report, you're basically writing that I tried doing this, I was not able to. So it shows that you're doing it, you have something to fill out in your report. And it also makes you conscious that just because the principal is not available on such and such date, we don't stop, we keep trying. And at the end of the entire 2 years, if you still don't get one day, then I would change all the principals.
We bring it up in our.
There's a resolution for you.
meeting, So we post it, and if we don't get in contact with any principal,
Yes,
Dr. Mike is here.
Then he
I
can
get
kind
it
of
right
reach out to those
away.
principals.
100%.
I
So-
like that
So
because.
it works, it's just that the connector who has to be the assistant administrator, we're missing. That's
Yeah.
what we had a.
You had a.
Well, but we are not blaming.
I think
It's just that.
we
it
had
just
the list,
happened
but
to be-
we didn't have a way to like really make the connections as much. Now, with Egypt here, once we pick whoever the new council is, once they get schools, she'll reach out to parent coordinators, tell them this is the person that's assigned and kind of bridge that gap and we can schedule. The only thing that I was asking is the 6 school visits 6 to each school that you're assigned or 6 overall?
6 overall.
Okay, that's what I wanted to check. That's why I was like, no.
Oh, it's a total.
I would also.
So I don't know if we want to just maybe
Yeah.
word that a little bit differently to specify 6
overall?
overall visits to yours,
Overall,
6 overall, yes.
just to like
Yeah.
kind of be more specific is all.
Okay, and I was just gonna add, required in the calendar year, I mean, I think it would be the school year. Because the calendar year,
required in a school.
During.
because I don't think we really care if they do it, they come in next month, we don't care if they don't have to do it by December.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
so instead of calendar, we put school.
Yeah,
I would love for this to happen.
I have a question
No,
for-
it doesn't happen this way.
but I think it's there, and we're supposed to do our best effort, I think that's
I am
totally appropriate.
making sure the time limits are good.
Cause honestly, they've never been here till almost check away.
No, I'm not doing that again.
They kick us out. It was like that back then. Right now, we're doing pretty good right now, actually.
Let's stay with it. No, I think that's very, very important, just make sure the time limits are kept to, which is why I brought it up this evening also. Going forward,
Thanks.
and I don't see anything else on the other pages,
No,
right?
those were the main ones that, everything else is exactly the same and even the bylaws that you had emailed saying, take a look at this. We had used that previously as a reference also.
Perfect.
There's some lines that I actually saw in the previous, in other people's bylaws pertaining to the hybrid, meeting. And we've used all that. Again, we wanted to do a lot more than this, but we are constrained with time.
No, but this is great. That's a lot of effort. So.
No, it's
Ismet
very much
and Alvin,
appreciated.
Thank you.
I have a question for Maribel,
Yes,
if possible. I know that the issue of trying to assign a District 75 parent member to this council has been ongoing for such a long time. Is it possible that we can put in our bylaws instead of having that D75, if we still cannot find a D75 parent, that we put in a regular parent member?
No,
I asked that too, and they said no.
but we did have somebody initially, they just never showed up.
No, we can't change it. I asked
This
this
is
in
one of
question.
those
Our initial
that you
council
have
did
to
have
do
somebody.
the whole-
Council.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
2-year
If
term.
I'm gonna change the council, it's gonna be the state and.
No, Alvin, when we got elected for this
I
term,
remember.
we did have somebody, they just never
Didn't
showed up.
show up, yeah, or he.
So hopefully, whoever it is that's elected this time around will show up. And we won't run into that issue again. I'm also working on making sure the borough president's seat is filled in a timely manner for us.
Page number 8, I have crossed out the lines, death of relative, attendance, relative, funeral, serious illness, because we already have that.
So it's
on page
repetitive.
number 7. So, I would also like you to tell me how you want me to change the notify to the council in writing via. What would be,
Email is
Yeah,
best,
email, yeah.
so that it's documented, so Egypt has a copy of it and the president
Yeah.
gets a copy. At least.
But that before we did mention, you did text message just to notify, right? But the final would be the email. Right?
yeah.
So we don't have to
notify
use
the
that
council,
number,
I think, right, he's, I think he's 48 hours.
I saw something.
Not right
pop up.
now.
I'm scared.
Not yet.
We have a meeting up there.
Not yet, we're getting
I
there.
got put it somewhere last time and then.
That's up for conversation tonight.
Okay.
The first part, I don't know, it wasn't changed by me, so I'm not sure if it was read, except in an emergency. Members shall notify the president and the administrative assistant at least 72 hours prior to scheduled meeting time of the intent to attend remotely or be absent. So I didn't put that there, it was always been there, I just
Which page are
bringing
you
it
on?
up in case you're.
Page 7.
Page 7. But it
Section
wasn't highlighted,
52.
I didn't add it, it's there, always been there.
A and B, right?
That's where we were talking about whether
So I
like, where I
just want
thought
to
we
add
should
remote
kind of
or
maybe
absent.
make it like 48 hours rather than 72. I don't know if anyone has any thought there, like, I personally think like 48 hours
Up
is
to you guys.
more than enough rather than 72.
I think 40 is.
Cause I feel like if they're gonna know it in 48 hours, they're gonna know it in 72 hours, like,
48,
also says except in an emergency.
right.
Except in an emergency, so if you have a vacation coming, you could save people, 10 people.
Right. So I think 48 hours would just be my recommendation. I'm open to other people's. thoughts
Yeah, I think
there.
that makes sense. It's fine.
Grace is agreeing there, okay. So is there any points in there that we did not go over?
not the ones that I've changed, if we've read everything else, we should be okay, but I'm gonna read one more time.
So there's a comment on page 6, this is the part where you have opportunity to add. Is there anything that we need to add on
That's,
here?
that's open
That
to
also did it too.
Um,
Whoever-
unexcused absences, we wanna make sure we have that. For food delivery.
We said we were getting rid of 2 and 3 because they were repetitive.
Okay, I don't know if I should leave that traffic part there, but. I just,
No, because I feel like they're gonna get here, they just might be a little delayed. Unless they decide like, hey, I'm turning around, I'm just not coming because I'm sitting in this traffic and I'm just not showing up. I think that's the only time that the traffic will come up, to be honest, like that. Because, but I don't know if there's anything else we would. I don't know that we need to list anything specific other than just stay with unexcused absent.
Cause this personal part, I don't think we need to raise anything because once, this is something that we could vote it, or we can note it over there, personal emergencies. if it's brought it up, we could decide by voting if it's.
Right, yeah, so the way I covered
So we
this
could make it
was,
put it that we could vote. for
yeah,
it.
I, the way I've covered this is I put the excused absences that we have previously discussed on, and we know that they're there.
I know we're, but what if this actually happened, not during this council, but I heard somebody was pregnant. No. Before the meeting. Went to the
Went to
hospital
labor.
to deliver the baby, but it's not because there's illness or, because there's a personal
It's an
matter.
emergency.
It's an
An
emergency,
emergency.
but,
It would be,
No,
I
but I'm
think that would
saying-
come into like the emergency.
Yeah, so the way I've
aspect.
covered this is I've listed the excused absences. I've given the opportunity to vote on anything that hasn't been listed. And over and above that, it's like if both of those have been exhausted, there is still a chance where you can bring it on the table, you still vote on it, and you're okay.
So the president would bring it up, like, hey, this is what came up, and we would vote at that
as long
point.
as we
I think this-
have that, like.
Yeah,
we do.
I think
It,
we could,
Page
we-
8. Look at 8.
other absences may be excused, the second paragraph on page 8. So I think that's where that's coming into play. I think we could cross out the traffic personally and just say unexcused.
I think what basically it does is it protects the integrity of the council and then doesn't, of course, allow the council member to take advantage of not attending meetings, but also gives them the opportunity to come in if they do make it to like 3 absences, without having automatic, dismissal of the council.
I think we pretty much done.
Okay, so Maribel. Question for you. If we've given our feedback now, we have like little tweaks that they know we're gonna make. What's our?
We approve it.
We voted on at the next, public meeting.
Just our oversight.
Tomorrow
Tomorrow.
Yes.
is our special meeting,
We can't do it tomorrow.
No.
It's not on your, notice.
so we would have to add it
In the award ceremony.
as a special meeting. After the award ceremony, if we feel that we're ready to vote on it. So we would have to take a vote here. Of whether or not to hold that extra meeting. To vote on it at that meeting.
Otherwise it waits.
It's a vote to do a vote, otherwise it would wait for the new council to come in. We present, this is what was started, and let them go and finish it.
Is it the only business that would be?
A vote to
after?
vote,
Yeah,
basically.
because
is what we
you
say.
don't know, if you're gonna have 7 people showing up the first time. First of all, second of all, it's really not fair for someone to just walk in to vote on something. They're totally unaware.
So. They'll make the edits that we talked about today. I'll have Egypt do a roll call vote of whether we would like to add this to a special meeting at the end of the award ceremony for a vote.
Would this be the only thing added? to
Yes.
The end of the,
This would be it. It would be just for the bylaws. So. Does everyone feel comfortable taking a vote on whether or not to put a special meeting on for that night?
Well, is it possible that we can just approve it before the ceremony?
pre-approve it? We should have to do the vote.
That would be having the special meeting.
Yeah, I mean.
Or we
meeting
can do
to
the special
vote.
meeting before, and then we'd have to get there even earlier that day. I don't think you wanna do that
I'm
to
assuming
people.
everybody's gonna show up, I don't.
I don't think we wanna have people having to show up at like 5:30 instead of show up at 6:30 for a 7 o'clock type thing. That's what I'm trying to think. So that's why I feel like after would be the best option, unless there's a date out there that people have before the end of the month that they wanna put a special meeting on the calendar.
The only thing I would say about after is just know that there's gonna be a lot of people that are
Exactly.
lingering, and it might take you a little bit longer to actually get to the vote than you may like. It might take a
You
little
want-
bit longer.
You won't have the special meeting
So-
at 5:30?
I wouldn't
I
even
But let
take
me
that
ask you a
long,
question,
right?
last,
Just for-
no,
I mean,
last.
no,
month's
6:30,
meeting-
I meant.
Hold on. What's your
Last
question?
month's meeting, we had a lady by the name of Beth, who wasn't on the agenda, yet she spoke. So why can we not put this for tomorrow?
She was speaking
But
under
yes,
his
under my
presentation.
superintendent's report.
It was part of his presentation.
Part of this report.
Yeah.
That's where that came into play.
Can you put this part of here?
Back here.
So, we could take a vote that we want to make a special meeting to vote, and then we could discuss a date, whether it be the award ceremony date or a different date. So let's just vote if we want to
This
make
is
a
the day,
special.
yeah.
Let's be honest, nobody's meeting one another after June 11th.
That's why I'm trying to figure this out.
I love the, it's not happening after June 11th. So we either do it then.
Well, that's why I'm asking everyone before I have us vote, what does everyone feel comfortable with?
Is there
I
anything
always
else
am
that
ready.
needs
Let's
to get
go.
done this year that we're obligated to do before the school year ends?
Website's up. Resolution just got done. Bylaws is
Update it.
next thing. And they just gotta make those few edits that we talked about. And then we could bring it to a vote, but we also wanna put it up. We have to put that on the website also, right?
On the last.
Yeah,
Last
get it up
they
on the
were
website.
Obligated,
Yeah.
we're not obligated,
right, okay.
but it's whether we want to
Alright,
finish
let's
this
vote.
out.
But there's
Let's
nothing
vote.
else
Let's
that
vote.
we need to
I
get
just know
accomplished.
what we're,
It's 9 o'clock.
are we voting to put it as a special meeting after the award ceremony that night?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's the vote we're gonna take. Go through the roll call and we'll go from there.
So the Alvin and Ishmael get a vote.
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody does.
Yes, we're public.
Yeah.
I don't know if people are proposing these things, get a vote with it. I didn't
No, you're
know.
good.
The only vote that doesn't get shown.
Right, okay, so Ishmael,
Yes.
yes,
Joe,
yes,
Ray, yes, Alvin,
Yes.
Catherine,
We have quorum. Okay, yes.
Shirley,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes,
Bob,
I'm fine with it, yes.
Don's not here, and our student member is here.
so. This, we'll put out a notice that there will be a special meeting at the end of the award ceremony. Just beware, we might be there a little late that night, guys. And I'm going to Virginia the very next day, so. I don't wanna be there too late.
I have to make sure they extend the permit.
Yeah. So we will extend that permit a little bit.
Permit back a little bit.
Now,
We just, we have to read the whole thing, the way we had to read the resolution.
No.
no.
Review.
I
don't know.
So before we finish up and adjourn the meeting, I wanted to bring something up to everybody. I don't know if everyone noticed, but our participant number did go up since the business meeting started. I know that there were some people that were planning to be on the meeting for the calendar meeting, and it looks like they joined for the business portion. We don't have public speaking in our business meeting, but I'm asking the council if they would like to give the chance for some of these people to speak briefly, but 2 minutes each person, and we limit it so that we're not here for,
How many people are there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll be quiet one.
It's 28.
28, but I don't think all 28 are those people.
So they kick you out.
Okay. Eden.
Yeah, I don't think they're human beings, they're AIs.
Yeah, this one
It's talk to Firefly. Say hi, Firefly. How are you?
What is AI? Is there anybody that's currently on Zoom that is looking to speak? If you can just raise your hand. No, I don't want to do that yet.
No,
Please, Louis. If there's somebody that would like to speak, just raise your hand so we are aware.
No cameras on, no hands.
Go to the second screen. There's 2 screens of people.
Yeah, if you raise your hand, it pops up.
Okay,
Alright,
so.
you move to
Okay,
adjourn?
so if that's the case, that nobody is raising their hand, given the chance for that to come up, I will take an emotion for us to,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Bob and Shirley, I heard.
Alright.
We are done for tonight, and I will see whoever is coming tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow. At 6:45, we're starting.
What time is tomorrow? Okay,
6:45,
We stopped the recording.
yes.
Can I just allow